In the previous lab that you did 2 weeks ago, it was the warming and cooling of different surfaces. And then last week we talked about density. And so this week we're going to kind of bring those two things together because weather is all about temperature and it's all about humidity. I'd like you to think back to the water cycle that you learned about where the water cycles around. We've got the sun bringing the water up, we've got gravity pulling the water back down as precipitation. And so this lab that I'm going to do, I'm going to be using something that looks like this. It's called a convection tube. And so at the bottom of it, there's kind of a chamber, and then at the top, there is kind of a tube, and there is a thermometer attached to it. And you may have seen this type of thermometer before, especially if you have a fish tank. And basically, it's a sticker that is going to read the temperature, like right there. See how the bottom one is blue? That means that it is 64 degrees or 18 degrees Celsius in the room right now. And so that's going to tell us the temperature. Because we were using a thermometer to figure out the temperature of the surface, and the temperature of the surface and the type of surface that it is of the earth is going to give us an indication of what the air above it is going to be. So I have three earth surfaces. I have a dry earth, so I have a candle. I have so it's a warm, dry earth. I have a warm ocean, which is going to be hot water. And then I have a cool ocean, which is going to be ice. And so these are our three different surfaces that we're going to be investigating. And these different surfaces are going to then create the air above it to have the same temperature and the same type of humidity. And that's what this lab is designed to show you. And that is going to be what creates what's called an air mass. And then it's how the air masses move that we're going to be investigating next. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the candle and I'm going to put it under the convection tube. So now, sorry, actually already started. So now I don't know if you can see this, but you sort of can. So now instead of it being 64 degrees, 68, the 70 is actually, so 70 degrees Fahrenheit, it's already starting to warm up. So this hot, dry surface below it is already heating up the air above it, okay? It is it's conduction, right? It is transmitting the heat that is on the surface to the air above it. And so it's actually already heated up to 74, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put let's say that this warm air mass moves over something, a nice cool ocean. So I'm going to bring the ice in. And the ice, you can see, there we go. So you can see that it's at 74. And then the ice, it's going to take a little bit longer, but eventually we're going to see that temperature cool down. We're going to see that temperature cool down. And usually during the lab, we would let this sit for about 3 or 4 minutes. And so we would see that temperature decrease. And then we would also see a little bit of moisture, right? Because we've got a wet surface. So that moisture that's coming from that wet surface is called humidity. And the more humidity that's in the air, the more moisture, the more clouds that are going to be forming, and therefore the more precipitation that there could potentially be. So that's a cool surface. You can already see it's definitely starting to cool down. Now it's down to like 72 and down to 70, so it's starting to cool down. And now I'm going to bring this over a warm, moist surface, so like a warm ocean or a warm lake or something like that. So now I've got my hot water. And pretty soon you can see, check that out, pretty quickly, you can see, look at all of those clouds that are forming. So clouds are just, if you remember back to the water cycle, clouds are just going to be the water vapor that's in the air. It's going to go up, it's going to condense, and then form little water droplets. That's what we're seeing on the inside of this convection tube. And so those are clouds forming. So over warm, moist air or warm, humid air masses, that is going to be where we get a lot of storms and a lot of precipitation and a lot of clouds. Okay. So this little demonstration was just to kind of show you how the surface conditions are going to affect the air above it.